I had a conversation with my sister-in-law the other day, and I was trying to explain to her that because of the way YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all of these social media companies that are owned by Silicon Valley are set up, they're all very left-leaning. What that basically means is that if you say things that are within the guidelines or within the ideologies of leftists, you won't really have any consequences. There's people here and there that say dumb stuff, and they get taken out every now and then. Ethan Klein likes to push his limits, and Hassan and them guys. But for the most part, you can get away with saying a lot to a lot of people and espousing your beliefs, which you're allowed to do. I support them saying whatever they want to say. Is free speech. But the same cannot be said on the other side. And I tried to explain this to my sister-in-law, and I said that you have to be very careful with what you say. We're very careful with what we say on this channel. And that's not good because that stifles freedom of speech. It stifles the way you think. And she didn't really believe me when I said that. Well, this story came up. So there's a gaming company called Limited Run Games. And their community manager apparently sent out some transphobic tweets. Now, I looked at the tweets. I don't think they're transphobic. I'm going to bring them up on the screen now. I mean, we've had videos taken down on TikTok for pointing out something that is glaringly obvious. If it's the flip side and they're saying something that is glaringly egregious or damaging to children, nothing gets done.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it's not what you say, it's certain topics. So anything to do with trans, it will be seen as discriminating, which is why most of the time it will go against you. Just depends what you're saying, no?
So someone called Purple Tinker posted Limited Run Games community managers' tweets, and they were basically saying, why is there a transphobe who follows basically a verifiable right-wing transphobic creeps, according to them. Unless and until she is fired from the company permanently, I am not giving them another single dime. So let's actually look at what she said and who she's following. She wrote, if you think the hashtag of trans crying about using a bathroom is higher than the pervs using the excuse, you are what is wrong with this world. This conversation is about trans people using the bathrooms that they prefer.
Which we know is why J.K. Rowling got cancelled as well.
One of the reasons. I think she spoke about menstruation. Actually, if you go on Google and you type in who menstruates or something like that, it says menstruation is not limited to women, which is a problem because now you can't even say to people, go look up the definition, because they are changing the definitions. So you can't actually say to somebody, go check the definition if you don't know what I'm talking about. They'll go and check it and it will affirm what they're saying. Google's doing that. So that's another story. But anyway, if you as a woman, okay, this is not a man that tweet. This is a biological woman talking about her space in the toilets. If you can't tweet that as a woman, you have to understand that you do not have freedom of speech. If you can tweet something like that, like I want my own space, I want to have my own locker room with my own biological females in there, and you can't say that and you get taken down, do you have free speech? Of course not. And
it's only, you're only accepting one person's opinion and feelings essentially and not the others. Yeah. It's like, it's not one rule for one and one rule for the other. Yeah. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know what I mean? It's
basically rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah.
Or rules for me, but not for thee, whichever way around it is. And that does stifle free speech. She's allowed to say that. This is not a man talking about a female bathroom. She's talking about a bathroom that she has to go into that she may not want to share with trans women. She's allowed to say that whether you think she's right or wrong. And you don't have to agree with what she's saying either. That's the main thing here. I'm not saying that trans people have to agree with it. It's freedom of speech, freedom of thought. You're allowed to push for your own ideas and your own ideologies and want to fight to be in a biological female's bathroom, but they don't have to agree with it. They don't. You have to understand that. We have to all be able to coexist and come to some sort of understanding. You can't just push your way around like that. The next thing they screenshotted was this community manager was following Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok is a page that we use a lot as well. Okay. They post a lot of the content that sometimes we will react to.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just following them. Now, this is a bit of a crappy thing to do because I follow Libs of TikTok, but I also follow the Young Turks. I follow Brett Cooper, but I also follow Ethan Klein. I follow Matt Walsh, but I also follow Hassan Abi. Like, I follow both sides of the conversation. But if they saw me following Ben Shapiro, they would completely ignore the fact that I also follow Destiny. Destiny is in my YouTube history most of the time. I listen to his conversations. wouldn't really say he's a lefty, but he's definitely not right wing. Definitely aligns more on that side of the conversation. So to screenshot that as a reason that this person should be fired from their job should again tell you that these people are not allowed to do as they want. They have to go into these dark shadows of the internet, these dark corners of the internet, to be able to voice their opinions. And Twitter is meant to be like the new public town square. It's where everyone goes to share their opinions. Same with Instagram, same with Facebook and YouTube. So if we have to be forced off of the platform for having our own views just to be able to get our voices out, do we really have freedom of speech? Because we're not free to say what we want to say wherever we want to say, but they are.
I think freedom of speech has definitely been taken away from a lot of people in this day and age. And it is...
Sorry.
Every time. And it is, I think, because of this whole inclusivity thing that's going on now.
Which is funny because you would think if you're all for inclusivity, you would allow people to think what they want to think. Yeah. She's not out here going and attacking trans people. She's allowed to have an opinion. You understand she is a woman. And that's her bathroom.
Yeah, it's things that makes her feel comfortable.
Yeah, and then this one. So Blair White is trans, but she leans on the right. She's right wing. So as far as I assume most people on the left, it doesn't matter to them that she's trans. What matters is that she's right wing. So Blair White's, again, somebody that I listen to on YouTube as well. But again, I listen to a lot of people on the left too. You know, I watch Abba and Preach. I wouldn't really say they're left or right. I watch Fresh and Fit. Sometimes I watch H3H3, you know. I watch everyone to get an understanding of what's really going on. I don't want to live in a bubble, which is, you find a lot of people doing that. Like, I have people that are very close to me. They only watch leftists. And so their idea of someone like Matt Walsh is extremely warped. It's extremely, you can't even have a conversation with them. They don't actually know what they're talking about. Anyway, they've screenshotted this from Blair White as a reason to get them fired from their job, because Blair White, although they are a trans person, they still think that men are men and women are women. So if you speak to Blair White, although she presents as a female and she wants you to use those pronouns, she will say to you, I am a biological male.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Caitlyn Jenner is the same thing. Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, the Olympic athlete, is I think in the same camp, acknowledges that they are a biological male presenting as a female. But that's not good enough for people like this person on Twitter. So they've put a little red thing around that to show that, you know, this person that the community manager's following is a transphobe despite being trans. And then the last one is they are following, I don't actually know who this, Ian Miles Cheong. I don't actually know who he is. He's tweeted saying the non-binary person Matt Walsh sparred with on Dr. Phil just got a brand deal with Abercrombie and Fitch. Okay, so I mean, he's just pointing it out. I don't really understand what the problem is. So do you remember those are the people on Dr. Phil that Matt Walsh went at? So they've screenshotted all of those things, and now the community manager has been fired from her job. Bear in mind, all she did was talk about something to do with her bathroom. She didn't actually say anything else. All they've done is screenshot who she's following and tweets that she might be following.
Yeah.
And she's lost her job over that. So you can't sit there and tell me that you have the freedom to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You do not. You can say it, but because of the way Silicon Valley is set up, because of who has the power in these institutions right now, there are going to be consequences for you believing things. Things that most people on this planet believe.
This is the thing. The majority of people have the same opinions these days, but everyone's too afraid to talk because people are literally out here losing their jobs over it. And I think that's absolutely unfair and crazy that you're literally losing your job over having your personal opinion and preference when everyone else is allowed to have theirs.
Yeah.
No consequences.
A lot of people like Stephen Crowder and the Daily Wire, who we're going to talk about them in a bit after this video on the next video, but people like them have this segment on their podcast where they will leave YouTube and tell their followers on YouTube, come over to my website now because now I'm going to say what I really think. Because you can't really say what you think if you're right wing on YouTube. Yeah. You just can't. And for anyone out there that thinks you can, just go and look at the people that get demonetized all the time. It's not to say people on the left don't get demonetized, but it's heavily disproportionate. It's over things that most of the world believe. Most of the world. Well, I'm not just talking about America and the UK. Most of the planet believe these things, and they have believed these things since the beginning of democracy, since the beginning of human beings being here.
Yeah.
That's not to erase the existence of other people. People love saying that.
That's the problem. It's literally getting rid of and disregarding how everyone else is used to living life. And that's not fair. You should be able to do it both ways. You know, most of us are happy to accept the way people want things to be, but that doesn't mean you should disregard and dismiss the way, for example, words getting cancelled. Why are we as humans having to now change
because
words from the English dictionary and our way of speaking?
Because the inclusive types, the inclusive ones, they don't actually understand what inclusive means. What they actually mean is that they just want to take over everything. They don't want to be inclusive. They just want their ideas out there. And if you have anything contrary to their belief, they want to take you down. And when you talk to a lot of people, they pretend like this isn't happening because they live in a bubble. I'll extend an olive branch. I have lived in a bubble before as well. But when we opened this channel, I had to make sure that I subscribed to everyone. I was getting information from everywhere. I can't come on here. I have my beliefs, but I can't come on here and just give you one side of the story. It has to be from everyone so we can see where the truth lies. Because we've covered people before, like we've given a lot of stick to a lot of people on the left, but sometimes I'll say to them, okay, no, they had a fair point there. I don't think the person on the right was correct or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's true for us as well. We've got a very small channel right now. We still have to be careful with what we say. Our TikTok is slightly bigger and our videos get taken down all the time for literally saying some of them, like the one you told me today where we were talking about the girl that was on a girlfriend's salary. We didn't say anything offensive, but because we were going against a woman, we were taken down. But if that same woman went against other women or other trans people, she would be taken down. So it's like an oppression hierarchy. But there's more tweets here. So they put the red box around Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, correct me if I'm wrong, he was on the Young Turks originally. He left the Young Turks, opened up his own show. I believe he aligns on the right now, but Dave Rubin is a gay man, right?
Okay.
He's gay, but he's on the right. Okay, so like I said before, this is not about it being inclusive of who people sleep with or how they identify. It is about where you lie politically. If you lie on the left, doesn't matter. They don't care where you're from. They don't care if you're a straight white male. They don't care if you're gay. They don't care if you're straight or trans. If you're straight, trans, gay, Asian, whatever, but you're on the right, that's all that matters to them. It's the way you think. It's not the way you identify. People need to understand that. It's not the fact that you're a drag queen. It's not the fact that you're trans, non-binary, black, lesbian, 90 years old. They don't care. They care about how you think because they want to control thought. This is also another woman.
What did he write?
Who, Dave Rubin?
Yeah.
Dave Rubin didn't write anything. So I don't know, Glenn Beck, I've heard that name before, but basically the woke trans movement is actually anti-gay. Don't burn this country, author Rubin Report tells me in the latest Glenn Beck podcast. They're literally transitioning this boy into being a girl, and most likely that boy was just going to grow up to be a functional gay man. I don't get what the problem is with that tweet. I mean, that's someone's belief. Your belief is the opposite. You're allowed to tweet that as well. I don't understand what the problem is. Then this woman, I've watched her YouTube videos for quite a while now. Ariel Scarcella, I think how you say her name. She is a lesbian.
Okay.
But I don't even know if she's right wing. I just think that she calls out BS when she sees it. But again, she's a gay woman. So she wrote binary, not bigoted. Biological sex is binary, not bigoted. Again, people have believed this for all time up until 10 minutes ago. And most of the world still believe that. And then the last one that they screenshotted was Gina Carano, who we've spoken about before. Gina Carano, the former MMA fighter who was fired from Hollywood for pointing out something glaringly obvious, which is what we're pointing out now, that you can only think one way or Hollywood will ostracize you, and so will the woke mob. Gina Carano is exactly what leftists dream of. She's legitimately a big, strong woman. She's a good-looking woman as well. Not only is she legitimately tough, she could literally take guys. She's also good looking and she's a good actor. She got cast in The Mandalorian, which is Star Wars on Disney, and she was taken off that because she didn't think the way they wanted her to think, and she had to go take a job with the Daily Wire. The offensive social media post that she put up was about what she's seeing now with how people's opinions are being shut down and people are being ostracized from places of work or friendship communities is not too far from what was going on in 1939 to 1945 with the big, we can't even say the word on YouTube, we'll get taken down, but 1939 to 1945, everyone knows what happened back then. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to go over everything. There's loads of tweets here where this purple tinker has basically gone through this woman's search tweets and gone through her follow list. Like, she can't follow people now as well. And eventually the girl was fired, and I guess they're celebrating about it. Fired for having an opinion, and then Purple Tinker said fired for being a bigot. This is the problem. You can't have opinions these
Yeah.
days, and people that say otherwise are talking nonsense. This video will probably get taken down at some point, and so
Yeah.
will a lot of our other videos. And that's why a lot of these creators create Patreons where people can go and pay to watch their content, because they can't survive on YouTube. That's why Rumble
Yeah.
has come about.
A lot of people these days seem to be literally going out of their way to find problems within everything and anything. And I just don't get or understand how people want the world to be. If everyone keeps doing what they're doing, what do they want from everyone? What is the future supposed to be?
The future is exactly what you saw in the Matrix. It's do as I say or be eliminated. Think the way I think or be eliminated. Even in Equilibrium, where they took people's emotions away and stuff. Like, they just want you to be this robot who nods their head and says exactly what they're saying. You're not allowed to have freedom of thought. University campuses are no longer places where you challenge people. You think the way I think, or you get out. And they say things like, oh, we're going to champion women. I guarantee they ain't championing you, because you're standing here next to me. And they ain't going to champion me despite my skin color. They don't care about your skin color. They don't care about your gender identity. They don't care about who you're taking to bed. They care about how you think. It is about how you think. It's about controlling freedom of thought and freedom of speech. And that's it. And anyone that argues against that, there's mountains and mountains of evidence to point to the contrary.